1 year ago, we celebrated in May the work of David Lynch because of David Lynch's last words were a blessing of peace that start with the word May. And maybe I can find all of those words, but yeah, that's why we chose May to celebrate David Lynch, and we're back around because there's so much David Lynch to celebrate.
There's so much, and also it's such a, non-linear thing, and yeah, non-linear thing, and a way to abstract way to process, and it keeps coming up. All these motifs keep coming up, and it's so funny because I had been, we're both sort of in our film era, but we hadn't been for a long time, and I had sort of resisted it because of all like the hipster men that I hated, film bros, and I was like, I'm not
Exactly.
gonna get into film. But
Yeah, there
like,
was like a very closed off energy to Lynch. It was like a secret
right,
club that you weren't allowed to get into unless you wanted to engage in toxic masculinity, which is
right,
hilarious
which is
because that's so
it's so
antithetical.
funny. It's so funny. I mean, it is like, and I had heard of him more because of transcendental meditation, which I have like done forever, and I'm actually a teacher of, and he was a big proponent of. And yeah, and talking about consciousness, and so it's so funny because it really shows like his conscious. He was such like a lovely person who's not at all like misandrist or like toxically masculine. I mean, I think he went through that, and then he kind of like was able to find a different place that's like more transcendent and tap into creativity and all of that. So it's just funny
And
because
then
some of his
made his whole mission to like talk about that. Like all of
right
his
made his
work,
whole
you know?
mission and created the David Lynch Foundation, which has helped all they do a lot of like teaching of like veterans and in schools and all kinds of stuff and like doctors and all kinds of stuff teaching TM. Um,
Wait, what's TM
but
again for those who maybe don't know?
oh yeah, transcendental meditation, da da da,
Da
which
da da.
is which is a it's like a meditation. It's a that's a whole other topic, but it's a meditation that Maharishi Mahesh Yogi brought out of the Himalayas in the 60s, which is a way for to allow the mind to just automatically reach the transcendent in an effortless way. So it's very easy, unlike mindfulness or like concentration techniques.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of research and it's a whole thing, but
It's a whole
basically
thing.
it's a whole thing. But
And while we're
basically,
saying this, I will say that I think that a lot of the work of Taylor Swift is working at preparing people to arrive at transcendental meditation or meditative practice that would help them
right.
with
I mean, and
collective
it's
consciousness.
interesting. It's interesting too because it ties back to the romantics of like Wordsworth and Coleridge and stuff. And like
Mm.
Wordsworth, you can tell like was tapping into like states of higher consciousness in terms of his like perception of
Mm.
daffodils, like perceiving like the moving, like nature of daffodils and all of that. And like
Ooh,
you can
yeah.
see that he had these glimmers of like a very heightened like state of consciousness that was like beautiful and celestial, and then he couldn't get back to it. And so that's why I like about GM because that it's like gives you a way for your brain to like be able to get to that place and like gradually build it up versus like doing ayahuasca, which is like very rough on the nervous system. And you might have like a crazy
Mm.
experience, but it's like shakes up the body so much because it's not like a gradual growth of states of consciousness, which is what I have found with TM. And
Mm.
so it's very interesting because it's just like to come from that viewpoint of like knowing that about David and then as an entry into his work is just like funny because it's the opposite way of most people.
Yes,
But it's
literally
like
that.
it's so funny because it's like in a way I'm like a sensitive girly. So in a way like but in a way I'm not. Like, So it's funny that, some of the films are like tense and they do deal with like tough topics, but in a way that like is sort of finding like the beauty within them or like helping you
Mm.
process them or like I mean, if you think about it, like Mulholland Drive was like really like the beginning of Me Too before that even was a blip in anyone's like consciousness. So
Yeah.
it's like revealing that horrifying secret of the casting couch and how that's like completely haunting like entertainment, basically. is like
A woman in trouble.
based on the woman in trouble and like sexual predation. So that's, it's tough, but it's like
You were
tough
talking
topics,
about, yeah, yeah, yeah. About
but
like being
like a
held in it.
but yeah, there's like a weird and like the more you kind of think about it, like you're sort of tense watching it, but then it's like weirdly comforting to think about it.
This is exactly how I feel about David Lynch.